This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip, electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get your first brush head refill absolutely free. That is tryquip.com/thumbs. I have a really stupid thing that I can endorse.
Oh, good. Peripheral corner.
If I can't think of anything better by the time it's time to record. Really stupid.
Yeah, this is our tech corner. Remember that? How we thought it was really funny and cool, and then you, for some reason, Nick, just insisted on berating for the entirety of that segment. Well, we were
Vaguely.
we were like, it's so helpful and cool. This guy sent in a bunch of tech advice, and you were like, yeah, plug that in. Yeah, nice one. And it was really.
That's what I said?
Yeah, you basically
plug that in, nice one.
Basically, my memory of it is that you said, plug that in, nice one. You didn't literally say that, but
God, that sounds like
I was cool.
Plug that in, nice one. What does that fucking remind me of? That reminds me of the cadence of some other stupid thing that we said on this show within the last 6 months.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, we've hit peak, must connect everything in our brains.
Yeah, I know. Jesus.
Plug that in, nice one. Oh, relates to.
Classic. Sounds vaguely similar to these other 7 completely different words.
Yeah, to these words.
Classic.
Plug that in. That could also be the name of our podcast.
Right.
Plug that in. Nice one. Oh, my God, we're stuck with this now.
Plug that in. Nice one.
Is the tempo speeding up for you guys? Oh, that was bizarre.
Oh, you know what's nice? There's a timer up there. It's built into Zencaster, including showing us that we've already wasted 3 minutes of this episode. It's Friday the 13th.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Ooh.
And this is Important If True.
Tribal Thumbs. I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Welcome to this spooky episode.
Oh, so scary.
It's Halloween.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's April 13th.
Yeah. It is Friday the 13th. You're right.
Yeah, it is.
And
I know
this...
it is, Chris. It's Friday the 13th.
Tribal Thumbs. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
Oh, wow, you are. Oh, that's true, you are.
What about you? Who's this other third guy?
Oh, I'm Jake Rodkin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Oh, my God.
This is what happens when you die. You're constantly introducing a podcast over and over again.
Oh, God.
God, that would be terrible. That would actually be awful.
Yeah, welcome
That's
to
just
this
what
episode
happens
of
when we're alive, actually. I'm pretty sure.
That's
what happens. That's what happens now.
That happened last week.
Yeah. All right, welcome back to a real episode of Important If True, unlike last week's whatever that was.
It was a cursed episode.
It was definitely a cursed episode. This is, for various logistical reasons, we are recording this podcast remotely rather than in our studio. And this is the first real episode that will be recorded that way, so we'll just see how it goes.
I'm sure it'll do great.
We'll see what unique flavor it imparts to this pod. We'll see what pod flavor results.
Yes. So I've become slightly obsessed. Did you guys... Okay. Did you see, how they're making 1 billion Star Wars movies now? They're making an infinite number of Star Wars movies.
Yes.
Star Wars started a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but it's going to catch up so fucking fast because they're making hours of Star Wars content every year after. But anyway, so they put out a trailer for the Han Solo spin-off movie called Solo. Yeah. The official trailer came out yesterday after there being 2 other trailers that I guess aren't official. But this trailer includes a cliffhanger moment where you see Chewbacca hanging off the side of the Millennium Falcon as they fly up towards. No, they're on a planet. There's some sort of rescue mission moment, and he's reaching off, or he's stuck outside of it or whatever. And then a rock starts flying up towards his face, and then it cuts to black as if this is some outrageous spoiler moment, like a suspenseful And it's the least suspenseful thing ever because we know that
he's
Chewbacca
definitely going to get hit in the face.
We literally just well, okay, sure, he's definitely gonna get hit in the face, and nothing is gonna happen to him because in last year's Star Wars movie, I like God, Chris. Sorry, you took that in a direction completely different than I was expecting. You're like, he's definitely gonna get hit in the face.
I thought you were implying the cliffhanger was, is Chewbacca going to get hit in the face by this rock? I was like, well, I mean, physically speaking, probably.
I had been assuming that he wouldn't because we know that he's alive. But yes, but yes, he might get hit in the rock.
Does the Force intervene? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, he probably just ducks out of the way.
I haven't seen this trailer, so I can't.
No, the trailer, like the rock is coming towards him, and then it cuts. It's like a cliffhanger moment.
Pretty fast.
Will Chewbacca?
Is it like a meteor-sized rock, or is it
it's
like a
the
pebble?
Ship,
he's on a train though. He's going incredibly fast.
Oh, it's a train, whatever. Sorry, he's on a fast-moving vehicle, and like a cliff edge comes up. It's literally the moment from like the Indiana Jones tank sequence.
I was imagining this like
a rock
like a rock that you'd like throw at someone as a joke, and I thought it was just like, oh yeah, okay. There's a rock coming at his face. He's going to get hit by it, and he's not going to die, but like it's going to suck for him for a moment.
Yeah, that version, then just the camera cuts and like Lando has thrown a rock at Chewbacca, who is mad. No, this trailer moment does use all of the dramatic storytelling rules that one does for like a high stakes action scenario where someone might get splatted in a high speed chase, except that it's Chewbacca, who like 6 months ago we saw alive like in a movie that takes place 30 years later. But because the trailer was cut that way, people started making all sorts of goofs about what that cliffhanger could possibly be. Like, does Chewbacca die and get replaced by a new Wookiee who Han Solo names Chewbacca or whatever? And the thing that I became obsessed with, because I think that the Han Solo movie is just gonna kind of be a wet nothing. Like, I'm not excited for it. I'm sure I'll see it because I'm myself. But I became obsessed with the specific situation of this movie ending with Han Solo and Chewbacca just dying. And then an iris wiping closed at the end, like in the Star Wars credits fell. And as you know, this movie is directed by Ron Howard. But the idea that this actually came from my phone autocorrecting incorrectly. But the idea that iris wipes closed and says directed by Rob Howard. That Ron Howard was brought in as like, this is like a notorious thing. Where it was originally the directors of. It was originally the directors of 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie doing this. They were thrown off the movie, and then Ron Howard was brought in. Like, you have 6 months to redo this. So the idea that he ends it with Chewbacca just getting killed, then the Millennium Falcon explodes, and it says directed by Rob Howard is the fucking funniest thing to me. And he just walks away. He's like, I got final cut. That was my only request.
Actually, I had 2 requests. Both were fulfilled.
That's how it ends. Also, take my name off this movie as subtly as possible. Replace it with my brother, Rob Howard, who directs all the movies I don't want to direct. Yeah, so that showed up because I was typing a tweet that just said that ends with the Millennium Falcon exploding, and then it iris wipes to directed by Rob Howard, and I just was destroyed by
so you were making the like.
I was joking about the first half. Then my phone unfurled a far better version of it where it wipes.
Did you post this publicly and I just didn't see it?
It was just a reply. It was a reply to the person who posted the tweet about Han Solo raising Chewie from a baby. I woke up in the middle of the night because my cat screamed at me. Wanting food, but then I thought about Rob Howard again, and I actually couldn't sleep for like 20 minutes because I kept picturing like that, like like, but it's just like the audience seeing Han Solo fucking just explode in space, and then seeing a guy's name that doesn't exist, and then having to just walk out of a movie theater. Oh, I couldn't stop thinking about that. That's my quote for the movie trailer as well.
I couldn't stop thinking about that. Jack Rodkin.
So I have nowhere to go with that, but I thought you would enjoy that thought that I had.
Yep, I enjoyed it.
Definitely enjoyed that.
Good job.
So I'm pretty hyped for Solo: A Star Wars Story now. For the director's cut.
Oh, the director's cut, right? Of course, yeah.
For the true director.
I don't know what to do with that, but I like it, and I'm glad you said it. And I'm glad that infected your brain, and now ours and all of our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I have absolutely no way to connect this whatsoever. This is maybe the hardest possible segue. But I just enjoyed an article that we were sent by a listener named Zach Warner, who sent a message about fluorescent puffin bills, which is a thing that has apparently always been true, and we literally never knew about it until now. The beaks of puffins have like fluorescent streaks of lighting on them that you can only see under UV light, and they're just there. They're just always like that. And an English scientist named Jamie Dunning of Nottingham University in England just found this out like by accident. Sorry, what?
I assume the reason we don't know about that is because it means nothing to us.
Well, I mean, that's a matter of opinion.
I hear that. I'm like, can puffins see this, or is this like to fool bees into pollinating puffin beaks? Like, what is or bills? I guess they have.
Gross.
I don't know.
I don't know. But so here, let's
how did they find this out?
What do scientists? Yeah.
Why do they think to do this?
I'm really glad you asked, because the reason is incredible. So. Jamie Dunning, he was just having a bad day. He was having a, quote, troubling time in the lab, according to this story. Things not going well in science world. So this is what he decided to do to cope with his troubling day. He turned off all the lights, took out a puffin carcass, and shone a UV light on it. That's what he did, like you do.
What?
He slid the three bodies the police don't know about into the closet, and then took out a puffin
exactly.
corpse and shined a UV light on it.
Yep.
I was just.
Yep. And the two yellow ridges on the puffin's bill, called, if you're interested, the lamella and the cere, lit up. They lit up like a firefly.
God. Sorry, like, Nick, I'm trying to imagine this guy doing that, and just the reaction that he must have had of just being alone in your office, then just being like, I'll just, whoa! Like, how are you not just fucking freaked out? But what was he expecting would happen? Its skull lit up, like a part of it's exposed.
Well, so wait,
he wouldn't have done it unless he thought there might be the slightest possibility of something happening.
I mean, I don't know. Now I'm imagining he's having such a hard time. He just turned the lights out, and there happened to be a puffin there. Like, he just was like, crying or something.
Well,
just
hold on. What is the purpose of a UV light in that scenario in any context?
That's true.
Maybe he just thinks it's funny to see like the dust and stuff. Like this, isn't that what happens when UV light makes like dust and grime?
Yeah, it just makes various things illuminate.
Maybe. God. Okay, hold on. So, is it possible that by combining these two things, Jamie Dunning tweaked our timeline to put us into a new world in which puffin beaks are fluorescent?
Right, this is like a Schrodinger's puffin beak, where they existed in a state that could either be fluorescent or not until someone shined a fluorescent light on them.
Right. Had no one ever done this, they never would have been fluorescent. We would have been none the wiser. We're still none the wiser because we have no idea what this is. Like he says, let's see here. So apparently, birds actually see more colors than we do. So, like, Dunning says that unlike humans, birds have always been aware of the extra colors in the puffin bill because they can actually see an entire other dimension of hues. So humans see color in red, blue, and green light, but birds have an additional color, which is a property called tetrachromatic vision. So he says they see colors that we cannot comprehend. The bill of a puffin is forged by generations, hundreds, and thousands of years of sexual selection. There's a lot going on. So And then the article points out, so far the fluorescence has only been seen in dead puffins in Jamie Dunning's lab. So it remains
whoa, what if he Scooby-Doo'd this puffin bill?
what if he fluorescent gel pen?
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was planning on that puffin
most
haunting
desperate
an old abandoned hotel that a bunch of puffin teens went to. But then it turned out it was just a UV light on a puffin bill.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a ghost, but then it was actually a corpse. So that's actually fucked up.
That's pretty fucked up.
I was wondering if this for some reason might be related to puffins going after fish. So I did a tiny cursory Google search on UV light and fish, like in case for some reason, just like in the 3 seconds that a puffin bill goes into the water to grab a fish, if a fish is like, that's fucking rad, instead of being like, I'm being murdered. And there are UV fish lures and stuff, but people tend to, it seems to be contested as to whether or not that actually works, or if it universally works, or like if fish see or react to UV or anything at all. But I hope that it's just that fish can totally see UV and that a puffin beak just blows their fucking minds, and then they're just like, eat me. They just love it.
The implication, I think, of Dunning's comment here, I could be wrong, but it seems to be that puffins can see this shit with their naked eyes and find it incredibly sexual.
So puffins don't care if a fish can see it and get eaten because they instead see it and are like, oh,
it doesn't really matter. If you are a puffin with UV bright fluorescent beak, you're just going to end up having more sex.
Nice.
So I mean, it doesn't. There might be a survival component, but it might also just be a like performative, awesome looking thing, I guess.
Paint UV light on that statue of a puffin.
Puffins, and you'll be, yeah.
Paint UV light on the nose of your own corpse after you're dead, and it will prove things.
Yeah. That's a thing, by the way. They have to actually like confirm that this is not just a property of dead puffins. Like, it's theoretically possible that this could be a result of the puffin corpse decomposition process. So they've created a bunch of puffin sunglasses that they're going to put onto live puffins so that they can shine UV lights onto them without like messing up their eyes or whatever.
What? So there's going to be a bunch of like super cool puffins walking around that not only look super cool because of their bioluminescent or their UV right. luminescent beaks, but also because they have 6 shades.
Also because they're wearing aviators, yeah.
God, puffin population on the rise.
Definite.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, you thought they were cool just with those beaks.
There's going to be so much puffin cereal sold when those puffins have cool sunglasses and kids see them. Kids can also see puffins' beaks.
Children and dogs. Only the innocents can perceive the bright, sexy glow of the puffin beak.
I hate this now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Only children and dogs can see puffin ghosts, can see dead puffin beaks. Anyway, that's that. I think it's amazing, and I'm glad we know this now.
It's fantastic. I really want to hear what the rest of this story is as they figure this out. I want them to. Yeah, I hope that it's just that puffins appear sexy to each other through an invisible visual language that only they can perceive. But I would also be totally happy if any other outcome happened. If it was the doctor like, I painted it on. Or if it was, this only happens to a puffin corpse. Or it turns out once we put the sunglasses on, they can't see it anymore. Or, any outcome.
Wait, hold on, what? They put the sunglasses on and then
like,
we can no longer...
No, the puffins are like, shit, we put UV blocking. Wait, that's true. If they're putting sunglasses on the puffins to let humans shine light on, won't that also mean that puffins will suddenly find each other supremely unsexy?
I'm looking at the picture of the sunglasses, and calling them sunglasses is kind of an exaggeration because they are literally just completely opaque
goggles,
like, panels. They prevent them from seeing literally anything. So not only can they not see.
Oh, okay. It's so they can shine light on the puffins, but not blast their eyeballs.
Yeah. So they definitely will find each other and everything way less sexy.
I was really hoping that you were going to say they're not like sunglasses, but they're the wraparound kind you get at an eye doctor. I was imagining puffins walking around with little like cellophane sheets over their eyes that kind of look like an 80s version of the future.
Yeah. I don't understand why this was discovered in the January, I think, and yet we still don't know if this is real. I mean, this article was published a couple days ago.
Science is slow, Chris. It takes its time.
Yeah, just go to a zoo and like, why hasn't a person just done this? Like, you can go to the Central Park Zoo in New York and there's puffins there. Just can't you?
It seems pretty rude.
I'm just surprised no one has done it.
Chris, would you want someone walking up to you and exposing like the elements of your body that have to do with sexual attractiveness?
Jesus.
Like to what if someone walked up to you and just I'm gonna show why you may or may not be genetically alluring to a mate. I think that's pretty rude. I think that you should not. I think you should at least have the decency to cover the puffin's eyes.
If it was just my face and I had cool shit on my nose, I probably wouldn't mind it.
That's true. Maybe
if they handed you a cool pair of shades.
Yeah, if they had a
like that's true. They're like, okay, Chris, you know what? We're gonna make you look. Just wear these sunglasses. Then we're gonna highlight your most alluring feature. You're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, well.
But what if they then shined a UV light on you and you didn't know up until now that your nose glowed?
I would be glad to know. I would be glad for the knowledge.
Oh, I would think about it every day. Maybe the puffins don't know,
but you wouldn't know.
Well, they don't.
You would just be told.
That's the thing, though. They don't know. Like, they don't know that this is that because it just looks like normal extra colors to them, and we just cannot actually understand what those colors even look like. It's like the classic thing, you know, where it's like, oh, does red look the same for me as it is for you? Like, we don't actually know. We have no way to sort of describe that in objective terms. These birds have an entire additional dimension of color that we literally can't imagine. Their color space is bigger than ours. That's amazing to think about. And we have no accessibility into that realm. These birds are literally on another level.
Yeah. And their beaks are basically right at the edge of that level, I guess, too. So
yeah, this is like the equivalent of shining a UV light on a puffin beak so that we can kind of understand what it looks like is sort of the equivalent of when you see like representations of 4D space. You know, like when people have like a 3D cube and it sort of rotates in this baffling way where it sort of inverts in on itself and stuff. And it's like, that's a hypercube. That's a 4-dimensional cube. Now you understand it. And it's like, oh my God, I can't conceive of this. That's basically what we're doing when we shine UV lights on puffin beaks.
Beaks.
Yeah, we're getting this like tiny little entree into
and
their
you're like,
incredible
man,
world.
if I could, given how attracted I am to that puffin, even just with the UV light on, if my eyes could see it if I could see it with my real eyes, it would just. Yeah, it would be bad for me and the puffin.
Yeah, let me look upon you with my own eyes. A dying solo says to the puffin, says to the porg.
And then you just see blue light shine on his face, and then it says directed by Rob Howard.
He explodes, and then it says directed by Rob Howard.
He explodes. He sees the blue glow, the ultraviolet glow of the puffin, as he just turns into dust and is just... Han Solo will return in Star Wars. But then there's fucking porgs everywhere.
They got those porgs too. Ugh.
Yeah, I wonder if porg beaks glow. We'll never know because we're going to abandon the line of reasoning. So, Chris, this article about scientists doing things for reasons that either... there is either no discernible reason or a questionable reason.
God, maybe, do you guys think the scientist has been shining, when he's getting bored, just shining UV lights on corpses of different things for his entire career? He's like, holy fucking shit, I knew it. I knew this would pay off. Like, is that, he's just like, God damn it, like, I'm so depressed. Oh, well, I can always shine a light on a corpse.
This hasn't worked yet.
Yeah,
he's depressed because he's gone through 600 different species by now. It's
the
never
day
worked.
Before this, he had a conversation with like his partner or his coworkers. Like, yeah, I think I'm just done with the UV light thing.
Yeah,
it's just not gonna. And then like he was like, you know what? I'll sell it at a pawn shop. I'll sell it at a pawn shop today after work.
Yeah.
And then he just.
Oh, mother of God.
But then the twist is definitely that his wife like painted it on at that point. Like it's definitely like the sympathy.
Oh, that would be so crushing.
Yeah.
It's like, but I published. I published about it.
You ruined
it. I saw it. It was there.
And then the Scooby-Doo intro plays, actually.
Directed by Rob Howard.
Yeah, as I was saying before, Rob Howard interjected himself. Ron Howard never would. just science for highly suspicious reasons. So I guess it's a theme on this show. Our friend Ollie Moss sent me a link with just the sentence, "This is the most important link you will ever receive."
Jesus.
And I didn't believe him, but then I clicked on it, and I'll just read you the headline first, and then I'll tell you a little bit about this story. It's an article on the website Indy 100, but it's also the History Channel also has an article about it. And the headline is, "AI programmed to solve the mystery of the Zodiac Killer is doing something incredibly creepy."
Hold on a second. Is the creepy thing that it's doing solving the mystery of the Zodiac Killer?
No, it has additional features.
To do creepy thing, doing creepy thing.
Yeah. So there's there's an AI researcher named Kevin Knight who has
bored one night in the lab.
Shining lights on stuff.
He was bored one night in the lab. And he said, "You know what I should do? I should program my learning AI with all of the writings of the world's most notorious killers."
Wait, really?
No, that's not really what he did.
Oh.
He has an AI sort of toolkit thing called Caramel that he has used. There was a thing called I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Copiale, Copiale, the Copiale or Copiale cipher, which is it's like 100+ pages of handwritten notes that is hundreds of years old, and he fed that into this tool, and it was able to decide. It was
notes of
instructions.
What?
It was notes about the rituals of a German secret society from hundreds of years ago, and he decoded that. And now he is working on the undecrypted Zodiac ciphers.
This is literally the plot to the Umberto Eco novel Foucault's Pendulum.
Oh, good.
That is a book in which the main characters program a computer with all of this like secret, like they feed in a bunch of secret society, Illuminati like bullshit into their like cult stuff into a computer, and then basically end up like in a swirling miasma of conspiracy and secret societies and get embroiled into just like a meta world of their own making. So,
good. Well,
if that's the Ron Howard version, what's the Rob Howard version of this now, Jake?
The Rob Howard version of it is that Kevin Knight, for some reason, because Kevin Knight might be being polluted by his own ways, has decided that it would be a great idea to also give Caramel a function to compose poetry based on its knowledge.
Oh, no.
Good.
So there are... there on this website, on the History Channel website, there are poems that it's written based on the writings and deciphered ciphers of the Zodiac Killer. And I don't know why you would ever do this. I can try and play you one of them here.
Girlfriend. Another party started getting heavy, and never had a little bit of Bobby, or something going by the name of Eddie, and got a finger on the trigger sloppy. Girlfriend.
This sounds like the grossest like club track imaginable. Wow.
So, at the age of love, a love deranged, a beauty from romantic interest, the thought of love and love became estranged, then the words of love became obsessed, surrounded by the troubled, by the thieving, confused and bruised and poisoned by the master, confused and blinded by the helpless scheming, confused and blinded by the dreadful slander.
I'm
sure this is like, whoa. Goodbye. I'm sure that it was given a set of meter and rhyme to try and pull out of the Zodiac corpus.
Yeah. Well, no, I have to say though that the introduction of meter and rhyme makes this so much more sinister than most like sort of AI generated text, which often is just sort of like absurd and kind of silly and like funny in how almost incoherent it is with like slight bits of meaning. Whereas this, because it is metrical and rhyming, it sounds so much more intentional.
Yeah, so much more meaning is divined by just giving it a slightly more rigid template.
Yeah, it sounds like like Edgar Allan Poe or something. I mean, not actually, but like I don't know. It's different. It's weird. It's interesting. It's new.
Yeah.
It's new. It's interesting. I love it. I'm loving it.
The idea of
Sorry,
this
I just
general
sounded like an A&R guy or something. I just realized as I was talking.
Yeah, it's fine. You're loving it. I love this guy who thought it would be a good idea to build an advanced cryptography cracking machine and then feed it as much of the brain of the Zodiac as we
In what
possibly
way
have,
is this
though.
helping to solve the Zodiac murders?
I mean, I think the poetry part is just that it likes poetry.
They're trying to create a new Zodiac Killer through this computer to then catch him.
If we could
It's trying to
create
Silence of the Lambs it.
yeah, if we could create a perfect replica of the Zodiac inside of this inescapable digital cage that I have made,
right.
it will tell us the location of the bodies and to tell us its name.
Right.
They're trying to, like, in the classic tradition of serial killers also being kind of sort of magnetic and charming, sophisticates. In the vein of Hannibal Lecter, they're like, well, we could create the perfect serial killer by also giving it the gift of poetry. Like this is they're trying. It's like the Zodiac Killer had this whole like cryptographic thing. Great, killed a bunch of people. Okay, that like qualifies for sure. But he was missing.
What's the
that
2.0
extra
version?
Little zinger. Yeah,
We need a Zodiac 2.0.
yeah, he was missing that panache. You know, that
Yeah.
extra little sort of old world sophistication.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like the method that would have sort of rational, reasoned white men would try to get to make a palatable character like in the time of the Zodiac. Like, what if? But now I feel like we're. No one appreciates the classics, Chris.
Right.
I think that if you have an AI that can generate new Zodiac content, that sentence just
Zodiac content? What is that?
That
New
sentence-
murders?
yeah, we've created an AI that using the existing work of the Zodiac can extrapolate and create new Zodiac content. 3 people have been reported murdered in the Vallejo area. And we don't know why. No, that instantly got out of hand for all the reasons that it would. Obviously. What I was going to say is you basically need a sunglasses wearing Puffin to jump into this meeting and say, poetry, stuff it, old man. This Zodiac's going to make memes. And then and then you have a Zodiac, the Zodiac corpus just generating American Chopper memes and like distracted boyfriend memes.
Yeah.
And if you don't like me at my this, you don't deserve me at my that. But it's just like weird, impenetrable ciphers and sort of scratchy photographs of human remains
Mailed to Twitter accounts instead of the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yes,
DM sliding into Zodiac Killer sliding into my mentions again, you guys.
Zodiac ebooks.
Oh,
Zodiac ebooks has slid into your DMs and is just sending me poetry.
How did we incorporate the fluorescent puffin into the Zodiac Killer and not discuss shining lights on the deceased victims of the Zodiac? I guess I don't know what the result would be then. You'd get the like
you were gonna say on
fluorescent
the letters, but-
illustrated memes.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say on the letters as well, but how did we not?
It was literally a story about a guy shining a light onto a corpse and discovering.
How did we not
I
talk
guess they weren't
about
really clues.
shining a light on the dead bodies?
Wait, Nick, did you just become a robot on purpose?
I'm just saying, like, I can't even see your face.
No,
you
your
sound,
voice is
you're
actually
just,
a robot voice right now.
I was
No, you're actually.
We lost him.
No, I know you're
Nick,
joking
is there
about
someone
it,
else
but you actually
in the house with
literally-
you? Yeah, your
Nick,
recording
your
has
mic
become corrupt.
Your mic is actually doing the robot thing. At the exact moment you decided to pretend to sound like a robot. Yes, it fucking is.
It really is?
It really is.
Are you fucking kidding? Oh my god.
No, we're not kidding.
Weird.
You fucking summoned it. You summoned it.
Oh no. My computer's like shutting off.
Let's take a break.
Nick, are you okay? Are you alone in the house?
Jesus Christ.
Is someone
Nick, get a flashlight.
DMing you?
All right, we actually have to take a break because Nick sounds terrible.
Oh god. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you will get your first brush head refill absolutely free. That's free. No money for your first brush head refill.
We should try to feed every version of your Quip ad into Caramel, the Zodiac loving AI, and have it give you some poetry back.
Yeah.
But it would be Quip ads plus the entire writings of the Zodiac Killer, I think, to generate that content.
Good God, that is terrifying.
Well, is bad oral hygiene.
There's the gum disease gingivitis as also terrifying. When you get your Quip brush head refills, they come in these little sort of plastic rounded cylinders that you can cap and uncap, and they're watertight. And I have started using those to. We don't have laundry in our apartment, so we use a laundromat. And so we buy just like the huge thing of liquid laundry detergent, and then so what I've been doing, instead of having to lug the huge thing of laundry detergent back and forth, I've been pouring it into one of those into the little Quip refill plastic cylinder containers, because once you've gotten your refill, you don't need that container anymore because you just stick it on your toothbrush. Right. And it's the perfect size for like one load of liquid laundry detergent. So I have found a useful second life for my Quip brush head refill containers.
Did you try eating them once you filled them with detergent? I assume you tried eating them.
The nice thing is when you're done, it kind of creates this little sort of lollipop thing that you can enjoy. So you can, not a single bit of the detergent goes to waste, because the detergent that you don't put in your washing machine is a tasty snack for when you're just hanging around the laundromat.
So thanks, Quip.
So if this causes any problems for you, I'm pretty sure it's Quip's fault, not ours. Tryquip.com/thumbs.
I always forget all those dentist terms that they say when they're cleaning your teeth, and I always wish that I remembered them so I could make jokes about going to the dentist, and I just never can remember any of them. For between which on the inside or outside of your mouth, and when they're basically just poking at every tooth to gum intersection and describing all of them. It's
like maxillary and shit like that.
Yeah.
Bruxism.
Anyway.
Spocular.
Yes.
The sternal edge. I don't know. They're all words like that. None of those are real. They're all real.
The sternal edge.
This is the name of a Michael Crichton novel.
Hey, we're back. Hi, guys.
Hey. Welcome
thanks, Chris.
back. We have...
Nick, you sound better.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You're back to your human self.
I mean, good. I'm glad it's working.
We have an email from Vivian who writes with a clarification. She says, I'm an evolutionary biologist. On your most recent episode, this is actually, I guess, 2 episodes ago if you count our horrific apology cast last week. On your most recent episode, you talked about the marbled crayfish, the crayfish that clones. You began discussing how since it clones itself, it doesn't introduce diversity into its own population. This isn't actually true. You mentioned bacteria and viruses, and those also clone themselves. While bacteria and viruses can occasionally exchange DNA with other members of their species, they still reproduce by creating exact copies of themselves. This is a much more complicated process for viruses, but we don't need to get into that. These species still have diversity in their populations, however, because of random mutations in their DNA. Like you said, when you introduced the marble crayfish, that species of crayfish was created itself by a random mutation. In a similar fashion, these random mutations will continue to occur in individuals, which will get passed on to their offsprings. This is the basis of genetic diversity, and while it's true that since they don't sexually reproduce, these mutations won't spread as quickly, the population will still, nevertheless, continue to diversify. Hope I could be of help, Vivian.
Well, that just makes the entire thing about the crayfish worse, because that does mean that they're far less easily destroyed than the original article claimed. The article that we read it from is what said, these crayfish can just...
Yeah.
They could be wiped out with a single strain because they're all the same, and then they're like, I have evolved, is what one of them says. And you're like, wow, you can talk even now. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just me. There's a random mutation. I just got it. Hopefully I have a bunch of kids. Just me right now, though. How's it going?
God,
crayfish.
gross. Yeah, there's a lot of me.
There's like a shitload of me. I don't have a lot of people to talk to though, so thanks.
God, okay, so speaking of gross creatures that I guess in this case didn't evolve.
Also, thank you, Vivian.
Yes?
Thank you once again, as happens sometimes on this show, an actual person who knows anything about anything has written in to tell us that we're stupid. So anyway, I just wanted to say I appreciate when people do this because it makes it feel like maybe we're providing some kind of actual information or like knowledge of any real sort when our stupid bullshit is countered by knowledge. So thanks. Anyway, Jake, what were you going to say?
I was going to jump into something dumb. Speaking of,
anyway, speaking of this,
no. So this, just thinking about sort of this slow evolution through mutation, as opposed to the explicit sort of classic survival of the fittest style sexual reproduction and evolving the way that we think about normally evolving. I can't stop thinking about this stupid article that was from a couple of years ago called "Here's What Humans Might Look Like If We Had Evolved to Survive Car Crashes," in which
I've seen this.
it's disgusting. It's an article covering the creation of this sculpture of a called Graham. Graham is a character, a fictional version of what human beings would look like allegedly if they evolved in a very specific way just to survive car crashes. It's a hideous. He's a hideous, just sort of pustule filled, which are like organic airbags, like giant inflated head, which is supposed to be like an evolved helmet, looking just like muscular, but somehow like the paunchiest, just paunchy fucking guy of all time. I guess this is a project created by a trauma surgeon, a crash expert, and a sculptor, and it is so fucking vile. You should just go look at it. There's what do you think people should search for, Chris? You had a search phrase for this. Your preferred way to gaze upon this man.
I mean, whatever I need to look at this like weird, gross sculpt. I just searched for car crash evolution. I did that exactly one time, which was just now, and it definitely returned a whole bunch of photos of this fucking creation. So if you need to see this, which I guess you should since Jake is talking about it, search for car crash evolution on Google and you'll find many different angles of what is apparently what I assumed to be a computer render, but in fact is an actual sculpture, a physical sculpture that was made to depict this person who represents what humans would look like if we had evolved to survive car crashes.
So there's a couple things that I think about when I think about Graham, the car crash surviving man, when put up against these.
What we talk about.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah. Put him up against the world of asexually reproducing infinite water lobsters is one. I like that, like Graham, just if you go look at the picture of him, even though he's a specific person that they made for this specific thing, but they chose to just make him look like the douchiest guy. Like he has this disgusting goatee. He just sort of has those like just aloof white guy eyes that are not like intense, but just sort of just comfortable in the fact that he's got everything he needs to survive a car crash, or just, be the most successful human being left alive on the planet. And I can just imagine him looking at this army of a billion gajillion marbled crayfish and just being like, well, I got here through real evolution.
What? As opposed to what?
As opposed to them who, you're just a bunch of genetic
you're just a bunch of
you're
shitty
just
clones.
Yeah, you're just cloned.
I am the apex of humanity.
Yeah, and the other one's like, my mastery of English is far superior to yours, dude. You can't fucking see or hear out of your inflated skull. And he's just like, I could survive 1,000 car crashes. My grandfather and his grandfather and his grandfather survived car crashes. Also, the other thing is that you can't see this if you're listening to this audio, but Graham kind of just looks like a gross lobster man at this point. Like might be like his sort of like rippled exoskeleton rib thing,
something,
and his sort of just like round oval dot face. He's starting to. Yeah, there might be some sort of like
parallel
I feel like
evolution or convergent evolution.
Yeah, convergent evolution. I feel like humans evolving to survive car crashes and marbled crayfish, aka the water lobster, or car crash surviving humans, aka the grams. The water lobsters and the grams might be converging into a sort of singular species.
Oh my god, that is revolting.
So if you shine a UV light on the sculpture of Graham and on the marbled crayfish, if they have similar looking patterns that are mysteriously alluring, it might reveal that maybe one day the marble lobster will become a sexual being again.
Jesus Christ.
And it will then be, its offspring will then be able to survive car crashes in addition to all the other things that it can do.
Sure, yeah. The amazing thing about these photos of Graham
is picturing that Graham having sex with a lobster.
Fuck off!
And then Graham's going to be like, when you're young, you just don't think that the things that the kids do are going to faze you. Like we all have our sort of rebellious phase and we all did things that freak out our parents. Like I survived huge car crashes, but my kids are reproducing asexually. And it just doesn't seem right.
I just can't.
I mean, I'm a tolerant guy.
Far be it from me to have opinions about how anyone.
Yeah, and he's like, they can still survive car crashes like the best of them. They can still you just fucking slam them in there, no seatbelt, whatever. But this thing where they just drop eggs and another one of me comes out of them.
Oh no,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
but they're the future. They're the future.
That's more accepting than I would have expected from Graham, to be honest with you.
He's probably seen some hard times. I think you'd be surprised at sort of the sensitive side deep down inside those aloof, shitty eyes.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, who knows? Maybe Graham's going to be like, it's just not how I was raised. But these kids might be the people who the generation who finally shows us a way of not being born, growing up, and dying inside of a self-driving car that is constantly crashing into other cars. They might finally be the change that we need.
It doesn't mean anything to me. I can't relate to that, but
they do a lot of other things that I just don't like bud. But
what?
Bud off of each other,
like emit spores.
Yeah, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was horrible.
Yeah, he's only ever known this world. He's only ever known this world, Chris.
Yeah. Should we endorse?
All right, I'll start. I'll talk about things. I'm really excited about my endorsement. I love it.
Good.
I never just jump in on endorsements, so I might as well this time.
No, you were aggressive that time.
I'm going to endorse.
This must be the best endorsement.
Oh, it's not, but it's a thing that I think is cool. And other people won't give a crap about it, which means it's a classic, important, if true endorsement. I'm going to endorse.
Mine's going to be worse. Anyway, go.
So is mine.
I'm going to endorse.
Sure. I think you'll find mine is the best. I have evolved to produce the most useless endorsement.
Well,
what if humans were evolved to survive endorsements uselessly?
You know what? I'm just going to back up everything I said. This endorsement is great. It's good. It's brought me lots of happiness in recent times. So I'm going to endorse a 4-foot long shoehorn. So it's so awesome.
I would be so pleased if that were your true endorsement.
No,
but
my endorsement
can never be.
My endorsement is a video game controller. It's a controller called the SN30 Pro Controller.
SN30 Pro video game controller.
Yeah, for pro gamers. Mm-hmm. It's pretty tactical.
Is it
it's actually not
black and tactical. Yeah.
It's not. It's actually like light gray and cute. It's a controller modeled after the original Super Nintendo controller, which is probably my favorite controller. I played a bazillion hours of Super Nintendo as a little kid, and that controller sort of just still feels instantly comfortable in my hand. But the company that makes the SN30 Pro Controller, which is a company called 8-Bit Dough, they took the sort of materials and color and visual design of the Super Nintendo controller and its like exact shape, and added all of the pieces to it that are needed to make it basically compatible with modern gaming systems. And now they added 2 analog sticks in basically the same position that they are on like a PlayStation controller, where they're sort of down at the bottom. And they added 2 triggers to the back to go with the Super Nintendo's original 2 triggers. The Super Nintendo introduced the like left and right triggers on top of the controller. So this now has A, B, X, Y, left and right stick, and left and right bumpers and triggers. And it's out of the box compatible with the Nintendo Switch. It registers as a classic controller. So any Nintendo Switch game that uses a classic controller can work. It also can plug in through USB to your PC, and it registers basically, I think, as an Xbox 360 controller or as a Windows compatible gamepad. So like PC and Mac games work with it. I think it also has a mode for Android compatibility, and there's drivers for it for Raspberry Pi. So it's basically, they did a very good job. And, you know, it's a Super Nintendo controller. It's a very old style form factor, which is probably not comfortable for everyone. But if you are like me, a person who really liked the Super Nintendo controller and kind of missed that style, I can just say playing Super Mario Odyssey on my Nintendo Switch with this controller was a good experience, and I endorse it.
So you're saying that this controller is basically, what if the SNES controller had evolved to play modern video games?
Yes,
to survive
it is that.
Modern video games.
It is. It has these weird pustules on the back that I haven't I haven't put the firmware update in that makes those work.
Them in order to activate their capabilities.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I don't like it.
I mean,
anymore.
I don't know, but the one that I bought didn't have that, but I bet they make that one.
Sure. All right, that's cool. That's an interesting thing. I'm going to endorse like probably an even more niche electronics device because I couldn't think of anything else. I need to do better prep next week apparently, but this actually was really useful for me this week, so I'm going to endorse it. This is the Ugreen external hard drive enclosure. I assume there are other makes and models of the similar thing. What this is it is basically a USB box in which you can plug in internal hard drives, just computer hard drives, and then connect this thing to your computer, and then you can just mount those hard drives and browse them like you could any other external or internal hard drive, but you don't have to like open your computer up and like screw them into the thing and plug them in, power them, and do all that crap. If you're anything like me, and there's a good chance you're not, you have just ancient hard drives lying around. I've had like 4 just big old, like the huge old, like 3.5 inch big brick hard drives sitting around, and then 2 more additional little internal, I guess they used to call them laptop sized hard drives. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I'm the kind of person who can't just like dispose of those. I'm like, I need to know if there's anything on there that's important or kind of interesting or historically significant. But I didn't want to like open up a computer and plug all the crap in and do all the stuff. So I bought this Ugreen external hard drive enclosure, and I just went through each of these hard drives one by one and essentially just did archaeology on these ancient hard drives, which like all of them still worked. I mean, some of these were clearly well over a decade old, because I had files on some of these dating back to like 2004. And it's kind of amazing to go through files that old and see the sort of last modified date still reflect a time older than probably at least some listeners of this podcast. It was just a weird experience. And what I ended up doing, I just bought I think actually I might have endorsed a huge hard drive on
You did, yeah.
a previous episode. Yeah. So what I did this week was I selectively went through these hard drives and just moved the stuff that I kind of wanted to keep for sentimental or other reasons, and copied them over to my new huge, like 2 or 3 terabyte hard drive. And after doing that, after going through like 5 old hard drives, it basically still barely made a dent in the storage space of my new huge hard drive. And now I only have 1 big hard drive instead of like
Nice.
5 or 6.
Man, you endorsed that hard drive January 13th,
Wow.
and I'm glad to hear that like 3 months later you've finally actually done the archiving project, which is that sounded like I was like maybe dunking on you or something, but what I would do is buy the hard drive and then never do the archiving project.
Yeah, I'm shocked that I did it, honestly. I'm pleased with myself. So yeah,
I have 6 hard drives in my closet that I've literally kept saying I'm going to do this to it, and I've never done it.
Yeah,
So-
man, that's what happens. So anyway, that's it. It's a weird specific endorsement, but maybe it'll help you. Anyway, Nick, what are you endorsing? What do you got?
Speaking of
slide down this slope.
Speaking of endorsements that were previously seeded months ago, that I am surprised to have experienced. I recently I recently took the bait and went curling in Canada. True Canadian curling experience.
God. I saw some evidence of this on Twitter.
Yep.
And I have
I'm not making it up.
from asking you about it because I wanted to hear about it on this podcast.
It was
and now I will.
It was interesting. It was pretty good. I gotta say, like, you know, I didn't really know what to expect, but it
yeah, sure, I would not know
yeah,
what to
but I ended up getting blamed for this entire sequence of events because I told our friend Nels, that I wanted to go curling, and then
the host of Idle Thumbs' own Terminal 7 podcast, a Netrunner card game podcast.
Yeah,
please, Nick, gotta get the plug in there. Anyway, you told Nels something.
Yeah, I told him I wanted to go curling, and he said we'll definitely do that. And then a week later, he organized a Facebook invite, and it just happened to be for his birthday that he decided let's just all get together, like 7 other friends, including Janelle, and we'll just go curling as
whose birthday? Nels's birthday?
Yeah, for Nels's birthday, yeah. And so it was like a classic like birthday, like kids' birthday party experience of just like going out and doing like a daytime activity, you know, before the pizza party or whatever. It felt very much like that. It was strange because like we also just, you know, we went to this sports complex and we met up with this coach who was going to teach us how to curl, and like he was just...
But he ended up teaching you something about yourselves.
Well, he was just so clearly filling in that role of like the adult who knew everything, and we were just bumbling idiots. Right. Like it actually, for 2 hours, I did feel like a kid again. It was very strange. I mean, it was literally like being in gym class where you just have no idea how to play basketball or like even like know any, like, you know, and just like, here's how you're gonna walk and talk, and like, you know, just doing the most basic things in curling make you feel like such a baby. There were 8 of us, and we split up into 4 teams eventually after we learned how to do the stuff, and actually played each other for an hour, which was really fun. And I was the captain for the first end.
How did that happen?
And that was, I honestly, like, you know, I tend to, in certain situations I'm fairly confident, in other situations I get stage fright. I was so nervous curling, like the entire 2 hours was nightmare because
and yet you were the team captain.
and you know, the guy that got the most Canadian man you could possibly imagine, this sort of like dad curler who just like is just so Canadian. And he at the start asked, you know, why are you guys here? And Nels is just like, well, Nick, he's the reason he wanted to curl. So then from then on, it was like, oh, well, I know everything about curling, so I should clearly be able to just like, you know, slide down the ice like a ballerina and just, you know, just perfectly pull off every move. And you can't when you're curling, you literally you push yourself off of this like starting block and then have to slide for 15-20 feet while you're bent down in this lotus pose, and then hurl this 40-pound stone towards a target that's like 100 feet down. You can't even see the target that you're throwing at. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. And of course everybody was just sliding around and falling all over the place. I mean, it was just, it was crazy. But after about an hour of instruction, we actually managed to play 3 ends, they call them, reasonably well. Like we scored points, our team won. It was nice. Really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was it being the team captain?
Nerve-wracking, like just totally nerve-wracking. I mean, he wasn't helping us at all. He was down at the other end. And so and then you have to do these hand signals where you sort of signal what kind of shot you want. You call the shot. You say, I want you to sort of aim for here, but this is where it's going to start curling from, because you have to curl the stone. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like I had no idea what I was doing. But I guess I'm good because we clearly dominated and destroyed the other team.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're an expert curler.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned. I'm officially a Canadian now.
Nice.
The back of the Canadian driver's license is just, instead of organ donors, just have you curled, and Nick now can like put the little stamp on there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you did it.
I am impressed. So Jake, you were impressed that I followed up on my January hard drive endorsement. I'm going to say that is bullshit.
Oh yeah,
compared to following up on
curling. Yeah, no, you did it, Nick.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm excited. Okay, wait, hold on. Actually, you didn't actually necessarily specifically indicate. Are you actually endorsing curling?
Oh yeah, I'm fully endorsing curling. You know what I would say? I was like, I knew that curling was harder than it looked. It is much harder than it looks, like an order of magnitude. Yeah. I was like, I'm in fairly good shape, and when we got done, I was just a destroyed human. It is like it works your muscles in ways that they normally don't get worked. It is actually like
it works your muscles in very specific ways, creating a new form of man.
Yeah.
Some kind of man with like a really long arm with a brush on the end of it or something.
God, is curling enough of a competitive thing that it does actually select for specific body types and stuff like a lot of sports do?
I don't know. I mean, having watched a little bit of it, it seems like, I mean, the captain of the U.S. team is just kind of like a big schlubby looking dude. Maybe that's what you want to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the car crash guy is perfect for curling.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yes.
How is the cold shower capper treating you as far as endorsement catch-ups go?
Was that the one from like episode 2?
Yeah, that was way back there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I shut up. You know what sucks is that because I put that out into the world publicly like over a year ago at this point, I still like maybe every, I don't know, 3 times I take a shower, I still literally think about it and my failure.
Oh man, that's a bummer. That's like you putting that out into the world is like telling someone like, oh yeah, I started running. It's like, don't tell someone you started running unless you have already been running for like 6 months. Like, don't say
unless
that.
You know that you're actually a runner. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a disaster. Anyway, all right. Well, I guess that wraps it up for endorsements this week. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Important If True. We probably will not have an episode next week. Jake and I are both out of town, and I'm just guessing it's not going to happen. So I am sorry about that. But at least you know it's coming. And thank you for listening to this episode of Important If True. If you have any questions for us, if you need our advice, if you have a problem that needs solving, anything of that nature, go ahead and send it to questions@importantiftrue.com, and we will do our best. Our website is importantiftrue.com, and you can direct people there if you want to recommend this show to them, which of course we appreciate greatly. And from there, you can subscribe to the show. You can get all the information about it. Links to YouTube videos, forum threads, all that stuff is all at importantiftrue.com. And I think that's it. I think that's all we got. So once again, thank you for listening. And for Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Even out on the ice, stay spicy.
Wait, you did not describe what these Puffin sunglasses actually look like. What in the fucking world?
What do you mean?
What? Is that what they look like?
I mean, they look like big, flat...
Oh, God.
Those are the fucking most outrageous shit. Oh, they do look cool after all.
Yeah, they're like huge fake aviator sunglasses.
They're like big emojis.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Wait, hold on. What? The
emoji.
ones you're showing are not the ones that I saw.
Yeah,
how did you find this? What did you search for to find this?
I did an image search for Puffin wearing sunglasses.
And you didn't find like just a fucking cool ass Puffin?
No, I was trying to find it. Well, I did. I found one. I found one, but it was too lame, and I rejected it instantly.
Yeah, no, they're just like, okay. You know what it reminds me of? The Puffin wearing sunglasses. It reminds me of in Star Wars, like the original movie when Luke is learning how to use a lightsaber in the Millennium Falcon, and he has to wear that helmet that blocks his vision, and it's like, oh, wear the blast shield, like don't forget the blast shield. And I'm like, the fucking it's literally just, you can't see it. Couldn't they have made one that like is super strong plexiglass or something? It's, they made a fucking Death Star. Like, is the technology does not exist to not make a blast shield helmet literally also make you blind?
But it's
and
also
that's what they're
just
doing to these Puffins.
Nah, it's these though is the thing. Like it's just
What?
I can't not think of a Puffin wearing like yellow mirrored Oakleys.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's what.
They definitely look cooler than Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that's such a cool Puffin, man.
Stud Puffin.